Hi, welcome to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl and I'm in charge of the craft kits at the main library. And today's video is to accompany a craft kit that we'll be giving out at the main library starting January 15th, 2023. Now, if you don't have the kit or you're watching this later and just want to use this video as a tutorial, I'll tell you everything that's in the kit and what you need to buy at the store. You can do this craft just fine with supplies that you buy. Okay, so today's craft is, because we're doing the middle of January, I'm calling these the Dreaming of Spring Gnome, because about the middle of January we're all getting kind of sick of winter and we want something a little bit cheerful. So these little gnomes, you'll have everything in the kit. You can make either a gnome with a beard or a gnome with braids. Okay, so what you'll have in the kit, or what you'll need to buy at the store, is 2 colors of felt. And this is about a foot square. And this is not the heavy, thick felt. This is the soft, flexible kind. We're going to be using one for the clothing and one for the hat. You'll also get a 6-inch styrofoam cone. And these cones you can find at in the floral section of your local craft store. You'll get 5 foot of this chunky white yarn to do the braids or the beard. You will need a 1/2 inch pom-pom. You will have 3 little silk flowers. And I just these silk flowers came in bunches and I just pulled them apart and pulled the centers out. You will also have 6 of these pearl-headed colorful pins. These are going to be used to hold on the flowers and the center. We're going to use them as the center buttons for the clothing. You will also have a little tube of E6000 glue. This is going to be used to glue up the cone for the hat and to keep everything from coming apart, and to glue on the nose. You will need to provide a pair of scissors, preferably sharper ones. And in the kit you will also get 2 templates. This one is for the clothing, this one is for the hat. Now, if you're doing this at home with the supplies you buy, these are not absolutely necessary. This is just to make it easier in the kit, but I will show you how to do this without, if you don't have templates. Okay, so I'm going to set things aside, and we're going to start with the felt. Now, if you have the kit and you have one of the templates, just here, I like to trace around them with a pen and then just cut them out. And then you can go on to putting it together. It's a lot faster if you have the templates. If you don't have the templates, don't worry. Here's what you do to get the clothing. You'll just put this on in the middle and kind of wrap this around. And we're going to we're going to cut a straight line up the felt this way, up the cone. We're going to wrap this around smoothly, making sure it's not loose. Then we're going to cut up this again, making sure to leave an overlap of about 1 inch or so. We don't want to cut them right there because the styrofoam may show through if it's not completely overlapped. So we're just going to overlap and cut it straight up again. Now, to hold this in place temporarily, I'm just going to stick a couple of these pins in here. Oh, and if you find it's a little loose, you can tighten it up a little like that. Okay, so it's all nice and smooth. There's no wrinkling. Okay, so now we're going to cut the bottom edge. And we're going to cut the felt even with the bottom edge, just generally, and we can go back and trim it up nice and tidy. Try not to cut into the styrofoam. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to go up about, okay, so the end of the, I'm going to cut this off just to get that out of the way. Okay. So the end of the cone is right there. So I'm going to go up about 2/3 of the way and kind of mark a line. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just to give me a guideline. Take this off, and I'm going to cut along that line, and it should be a slight curve. So you'll see that's actually how I got the template. I did that, and then I traced around it on cardstock, which you can then do if you want to repeat this and do a matched pair. If you have 2 cones, because these came in packages of 2, you can actually, once you get one, you can actually just trace it onto cardstock, and then you'll have your own template. All right, so we've got the clothing, and I'm just going to wrap this around here and kind of stick the pins in again temporarily. Now I need to make the hat, and of course if you have the template, then you can just use the template to cut it out. If you don't have the template, what you'll do is take the other color of your felt. You will cut one of the corners off about like a 1/2 inch in. The reason we do this is if you try and roll this into a cone and glue it shut, the top is going to be very hard to get closed if you start with a pointed end. Whereas if you cut off the tip, you can then just roll it around like this and glue it over, and your tip will be much easier to glue in place. Okay. So we're going to place this, I'd say at least 3 or 4 inches down from that tip you cut. Wrap it around, and I'm going to use my pen again, and I'm going to kind of, now you want it to be overlapping the green by at least 1 inch. So like right there. You're going to wrap it around and mark right about there. And we're going to trim it off. Now see here, if we went straight, this would be like a square, but we want it to be curved because everything's in a cone shape. So we're going to start at one of the marks, and we're going to curve around like this. And that gives us our hat shape, but it's going to be a little too big. We don't need to overlap it that much. We just need it overlapped by about 1 inch or so. So right about there. So I'm going to take that point and I'm going to go up to there, making sure to leave that flat top that we did before. And that's how we get our template kind of like that, see? Right, so that's how you can do it if you don't have the template. If you do have the template, just use the template and cut out the pieces using this. Okay, so once you've got your pieces cut out, you're going to wrap the bottom one around, making sure to line up the bottom edge, and you're going to put 3 of your pins in here, spaced about 1/2 inch to 1 inch apart. Like that. Now to get this to stay, you'll need to, we're just going to put a little glue there and just glue it down. Now for these tubes of E6000 glue, what you'll need to do is, they're sealed so they don't dry out. You've got a little puncture tool in the back of your lid. You'll just sit there and you'll just take this, turn it around, and push it together to puncture the seal. I actually have one that's already open over here. Now E6000 is a glue that becomes dry to the touch in a couple hours, but it also cures permanently after 24 hours. And you don't want to squeeze this stuff too much, because if you squeeze too hard, it's just going to keep bubbling out and bubbling out. You just want to squeeze a little bit, wait for the bubble to come out, and then use it. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue down there and close that down. And that's going to be just to hold it, keep it from flapping open. Most of it's going to just be held with these decorative pins. All right, so now we're going to form the hat. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this. I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me put a piece of paper here so you can see where I'm folding it over. That's better. It's probably better on camera. We're just going to run a little line of glue, a little bit of glue down on the edge, and always put the lid back on this stuff when you're not actively using it. Okay, so I've just run a little line of glue there, and I'm going to just, oops, try not to get your finger in it, but I'm going to take the top and fold it over and fold this down over. And remember, we cut it so that it would overlap by about 1 inch or so. And we're going to hold it down like this. And now you may notice I didn't get my thing even. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of trim it in a little curve to try and get it even. Just to keep it secure, what I usually do is I usually put a book on this to weight it down and leave it for about 15-20 minutes. So now what you're going to do now, while that's drying, is you're going to decide if you want to do braids or beard. If you're going to do braids, you will take your yarn and you will cut your yarn into 3 even pieces. Now this is about 5 foot, which is about 60 inches. So each one of these pieces is going to be about 20 inches. You'll cut it, you'll tie off one end, you'll braid this for about, let me measure this, braid this for about 12 inches. Tie off the other end. And you'll have your braided things. And then that will get glued on the top. Right there, you'll put a big dab of glue there and glue it just like that. Don't worry about the bottom part. I'm just going to glue it up here. That way when we put the hat on, the hair is going to be hanging down from inside. If you want to do the beard, you're going to want to cut these into about 4 or 5 inch lengths. I like to cut them multiples at a time. So that should make about 14 pieces that are about 4 to 4.5 inches long. Okay, so if we're going to be doing the bearded one, we're gonna run a line of glue, and for this one you want a little bit more glue than you did for the hat. Okay. Oh, by the way, use this stuff in a well-ventilated area. This stuff does have some fumes to it. Okay, now I'm going to line up my beard pieces with the bottom and just kind of do it this way here. And don't worry about the bottom being the right length. We're going to cut that off later. And you don't have to use all 14 pieces if you don't feel like you need to. Now, if you want to keep, you can just leave it like this. If you want it a little bit, laying a little bit closer to the body, you can actually run another line of glue under here to keep them a little bit more, I guess, tidy, but you don't need to. So now I'm going to trim the bottom edges. I'm going to start in the center where my buttons are, and I'm going to kind of trim up at an angle, kind of curved upward, so that it forms kind of a gentle curve at the bottom. So upward like that. Okay. All right, so we've got my thing there. Now I'm going to pretend my hat glue is dry, and I'm going to come and I'm just going to put it down here over my beard. This is why I need to have the glue all dry, because I need to tug this down a little bit over top, and if it's too wet, it might come apart. Okay. Now, to hold this on, I don't need any glue to hold this on because the pins and the flowers are actually going to hold the hat on. So I'm going to take my remaining 3 pins, and I'm just going to put the pins straight through the middle and stick them here to the side. And that's going to hold the hat on. Now I'm going to need to glue on his little nose. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, see the difference between, on these I ran a line of glue so that it's staying a little bit more tidy than it is here. So I kind of think it looks better that way. So I'm going to run a line of glue here. I think that holds the beard in place just a little bit better and keeps it from going all over creation. All right, now right in the center of the beard, we're going to lift up the hat just a little bit, and we're going to put a little bit of glue on the base of the hat and on the beard. Dab like that. Let me see if you can see that here. And we're going to just stick the pom-pom right there and let the hat come down over it. Now, just let the glue dry and your gnome is done. You can also do a little thing like this if you want the hat to fold over like that. All you have to do is fold it down, put a little dab of glue right there, and fold it down and hold it with a pin or something until the glue is dry, and then it will stay pointed like that. That's strictly a matter of, you know, decorative personal preference. Okay. And now you just let it sit and dry, and you've got your cute little gnome with either a beard or braids. You can do these. I specifically put these in spring colors because this is my Dreaming of Spring gnome. If you're doing gnomes for other seasons, 4th of July, make a red, white, and blue gnome, or put little star sequins on it instead of flowers, you know, for the red, white, and blue stars and stripes. Or for autumn, do them in autumn colors. And of course, the most famous ones are Christmas gnomes. So you can do these in red and green for Christmas colors. So it's all up to you. And you can decorate these however you want. You can add trims. If you are making one that's got braids and you want lace on it, you can trim lace along the bottom of the hat. If you're making, let's say Harry Potter ones, have your kids make them in their colors. If they're Gryffindors, make them red and gold, you know. So the colors are strictly up to you. If you're buying the materials, buy whatever colors you want. And you can make a lot of these for different times of the year. Okay, well, thank you for watching another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl. I'll see you next time. Bye.